Within half an hour, Swamiji came back to the library. He met the librarian and told him, "Sir, I want to assure you that I do read these books. So far, I have completed the first 2 volumes. Pick up one of the 2 volumes," he said. The librarian picked up one of the volumes. "Please open the page at random. Tell me the page number. And please check." And Swamiji rattled off everything printed on that page. The librarian says, "How do you do that? It is a miracle." 1968 summer, I was in Germany for the German language course with the Goethe Institute. They had a branch in a small village in Bavaria, Achenmühle. We were about 80 students all over the world. I have a group photograph taken on India's Independence Day, 15th of August, when all the students were requested to come for the group photograph in their national costume. It's an amazing photograph, especially South Korea. Where is our friend? You're from South Korea? Yes. That wonderful dress, kimono-like dress, and students from South America and other. Wonderful. Before we started our 4-month course, we had been given the chart of tests. One day in the class, the teacher suddenly announced, "Tomorrow morning after breakfast, all of us are going together to a nearby hill." We could see that from the village. Hochries. Nearby village. They were by to the village. We asked them, "How high is it?" "Nothing much, 1,000 meters. What is 1,000 meters? 1 kilometer. Up 3,000 feet. We said, "Fine." We were all young. I was just 33. So he said, "Fine." All of us went there, but they took us in a very clever manner. They never told us to climb straight. Zigzag ways. Then you feel as if you are walking, not climbing. We went to the top. We were all wondering what is there so wonderful about this mountain. There was a house, and there they provided us with binoculars, telescopes rather, not even binoculars, telescopes. Asked us to look south and gave us a chart, and we could look deep into the Alps up to Italy. It's an amazing sight. We were able to identify all of them. We had a wonderful time. I don't think I would have ever seen anything like that in my life before. And after that we had lunch and came back. On the way back, our teacher coolly announced, "I hope you remember your timetable. Tomorrow morning after breakfast at 10 o'clock you are going to have a test." We were 8 Indians, and all the 8 of us groaned. "Oh no, not tomorrow. Please cancel the test. Please cancel the test. We have to take a rest." They said, "Sorry, it has already been announced." Then we understood what is meant by German efficiency. When you climb a hill, you must learn how to conserve your energy and do the job. Any job which we do, we should learn how to conserve our energy. So we start with the prayer. Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya.
Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya.
Vivekananda Suraye.
Vivekananda Suraye.
Satchit Sukha Swarupaya.
Satchit Sukha Swarupaya.
Swamine Tapaharine.
Swamine Tapaharine.
Swamiji met in the train during his journey to Pune, Bal Gangadhar Tilak. They started talking. They came to know about each other. There was a lot of admiration on both sides. And Tilak invited Swamiji to stay with him at home in Pune as long as he stayed. Swamiji decided to stay in Pune for about 10 days. He met a large number of prominent citizens who was introduced to him by Tilak, and again Tilak mentioned to him about the Parliament of Religions. By that time, all the princes and rajas of India, government officials, had received information about the Parliament of Religions. The word had spread all over the country. Swamiji said, I'll think about it. Then he told Tilak, I want to go further south. What is your suggestion? What would you suggest? Where should I go next? Tilak said, Swamiji, you have to go to Mahabaleshwar. You are the Maharashtrian. Have you heard of Mahabaleshwar? Hill station. There is one more Mahabaleshwar in Gujarat. That is not this one. That is an ordinary town. Swamiji had visited that also. But Tilak said, you must go to Mahabaleshwar. It will help you recoup your tired feeling. The summer was coming slowly towards an end. And then I would urge upon you to visit Goa. Swamiji asked him, why Goa? The Portuguese possession. He said, you see, in Goa, there is a monastery, Christian monastery. They have an excellent library, and you will find a lot of interesting information in Goa. Then Swamiji asked Tilak, can you give me some introduction letters? Tilak straight away gave him introduction letters, first in Goa, then in Mahabaleshwar, purchased the ticket for him and put him on the train. The first halt was Goa. Swamiji stayed with a Hindu family there. Next day he went to the seminary to have a look at their library. And Swamiji was informed by the librarian that they have recently acquired 7 volumes of the complete works of a British philosopher, Sir John Lubbock, Lubbock. Swamiji borrowed the first volume, took it home. Next morning, a boy came from the house where Swamiji was staying, returned the first volume to the librarian and told him that sannyasi staying with us wants to have the second volume. The librarian said, fine, take it. The very next day, the boy came back, returned the second volume and said he wants the third volume. The librarian got curious. What does your sannyasi do? Read the book or read only the cover page and return? No, he reads the book. I have seen him reading the book all the time. Oh, I see. Anyway, take the third volume. The boy went home and told Swamiji what had happened. Within half an hour, Swamiji came back to the library. He met the librarian and told him, Sir, I want to assure you that I do read these books. So far, I have completed the first 2 volumes. Pick up one of the 2 volumes, he said. The librarian picked up one of the volumes. Please open the page at random. Tell me the page number. And please check. And Swamiji rattled off everything printed on that page. The librarian says, how do you do that? It is a miracle. How do you do that? Swamiji simply smiled. He didn't want to give an answer because the Christian librarian would probably not have appreciated what Swamiji had gone through. Swamiji used to say, 12 years of Akhanda Brahmacharya, unbroken continence, opens a nadi, a nerve center in the cranium, Medha nadi, with which you develop intuitive capacity, extraordinary memory, and even more important, extraordinary recollection. The human brain is a very peculiar thing. It never forgets anything. You have forgotten nothing of what I have told you all these lectures. But there is only one problem. You can't recall them. Isn't it? Come back after 5 years. There is a familiar face and you ask that person, have I seen you before? Yes, we were together in IISc. But you are too shy to ask the person, what is your name? I have forgotten your name. That person may not like it. So you go on hedging and go home and sleep, and in the middle of the night you suddenly wake up with a start. Oh, that was his name. How could I forget? See, we have a very poor recall. Swamiji says you develop excellent recall capacity. Medhanadi. The Vedic rishis were aware of this. They were aware of it. It is by brahmacharya that they awakened their Medhanadi. That is why they were able to get revelations and they could recite the Vedas from end to end continuously. Even today, there was one old lady in Kolkata who passed away about 10 years ago. She had practiced brahmacharya throughout her life. She was almost like a sannyasini. She could recite all the shlokas of the Mahabharata from beginning to end from memory. 100,000 shlokas. The Western press is not interested in that. Our Indian language press is not interested in that. If an old Russian peasant dies somewhere in the corner of Russia at the age of 103, it is big news in India. But our own language newspapers are not aware that about 5 or 6 years ago, a person passed away in Haridwar, in a village near Haridwar, who was 130 years old and who apparently is the last person surviving to have seen Swami Vivekananda and talked to him. I have his photo with me. I shared a platform with him when he was 123. And during his talk on Swami Vivekananda for 45 minutes, every now and then he would stroke his chest. Hamare Swami Vivekananda ji ne kaha tha. You should have heard the pride in his voice. Our Swami Vivekananda. When he passed away, he was 130 years. No English language newspaper reported it. The only paper which reported that was a local Hindi paper of Haridwar. India has many surprises like this. But we people are so dazzled by the Western way of life, we don't pay attention to any of these things. That is why sannyasis are supposed to practice brahmacharya, continence. If you practice continence, Medhanadi opens. Swamiji had that capacity. But how could he explain it to the Christian librarian? So after spending some time in Goa, Swamiji made his way to Mahabaleshwar. He stayed with the family of the local Subedar, a government official. The family consisted of the Subedar, his elderly wife, their daughter, her husband, and their 2 small children, both girls. One 3-year-old, the other 6-month-old. Very happy family. And for the Subedar's wife, Swamiji almost became like a son. They didn't have a son, they had only one daughter. So now she used to say, my son has come. She loved him like anything and she took care of him. The family life was wonderful. Swamiji had a very relaxed time. No problem of meeting people and talking to them. Restful period until something happened towards the end of his stay. The baby, 6-month-old baby, suddenly became crank. What is meant by a baby becoming crank? Crank has another meaning, going out of mind. No. When a baby is supposed to be cranky, it means the baby goes on crying. It is not able to express why. What is wrong with the baby? 6-month-old child, what will it know what is wrong with it? But it was suffering from something, it went on crying. The whole night it cried. The mother had no sleep, the grandmother had no sleep. Next day, morning till night and even in the night it cried. Third day it cried. By fourth morning, there was no strength left in the baby. But still it felt like crying, and it went on keening. What is keening? When all the tears have gone away, when only the agony from the heart is coming out, you have no strength even to cry, then you make a peculiar sound. Terrifying sound for mothers. What does it mean? The baby is about to die. It has come to the end of its strength. Swamiji was seeing all this. Suddenly he told that old lady, "Mother, can you give the baby to me? I'll try to pacify it." She laughed. "Swamiji, we are women who bear babies in our tummies for 9 months. We give birth to them, we look after them. If we don't know what is the problem with this baby, how can you know? You are a brahmachari. You are not even married. You have no children of your own." Swamiji told her, "Mother, doesn't matter. Give the baby to me. I will try. If the baby is pacified, well and good. Otherwise, I'll give the baby back to you. No further damage is done." She said, "All right, take the baby." She held the baby in her hands, wanted to give it to Swamiji. Swamiji said, "Please wait." He sat down in Ardha Padmasana. Okay? Didn't even look at the baby. Told the old lady, "Please place the baby on my lap." The baby was placed on his lap. He didn't talk to the baby. He didn't look at the baby. He closed his eyes. 20 minutes long, he was sitting like that. Within 2 or 3 minutes, the baby stopped keening. It went into deep sleep, and the family could hear a gentle snoring from the baby. That means the baby is slowly recovering. And after 20 minutes, Swamiji lifted the baby, gave it back to the old lady. The whole family was amazed. They asked Swamiji, "How did you do that?" Then Swamiji said, "I had the baby on my lap. I sent thoughts of love to that baby silently, and see, the baby understood that language. The baby responded." We try to talk to children, babies, in a language which they don't understand. Isn't it? Kuch 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 kuch. What will they understand of kuch 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 kuch? They won't understand anything. And you know one more interesting thing about babies and dogs. If you don't show any kind of fear of dogs, they will come to you. If there is even the slightest fear in your heart about a dog, it growls at you. I have experienced that, I have seen that actually. Animals are very sensitive to thoughts of love. Tigers have been tamed like this. When a tamer of lions makes them stand on the stand for about four of them, makes them do all kinds of acrobats, what kind of thoughts does he have about them? They are my children. They are my children. And for the lions, he is like a father. This is what Patanjali describes in the sutras. Ahimsa pratisthayam tat sanidhau vairatyaga. When there is no feeling of violence or himsa in you, even animals respond to that. What about babies? That is not the end of the story. Swamiji went away. Many, many years later, the 3-year-old girl became a Marathi writer. And the 6-month-old baby grew up into a beautiful young woman with whom the Rana of Sangli fell in love, proposed marriage, and she became the queen of Sangli state. She was so liked by all the subjects that the subjects of Sangli state renamed her as Shanti. And later, that elder sister told one of the members of the Kolkata University History Department, who was writing a book on Swami Vivekananda, that the last time she ever saw her younger sister cry was on that day, on the lap of Swami Vivekananda. Afterwards, she never cried in her life. Her face was always relaxed. That is why she was called Shanti. It is in that book, a comprehensive biography of Swami Vivekananda by Shailendranath Dhar, who was a former professor of history, Kolkata University, who had been commissioned by Vivekananda Kendra to write that book. Gives a lot of information. In one of the appendices, he narrates this particular story. This happened in Mahabaleshwar. But Swamiji was not alive to know all those things. So from there, Swamiji decided to come south. He asked the Subedar, and the Subedar gave him letters of introduction. So the next place he came to was Belgaum, the second capital of Karnataka. Karnataka state has built a miniature, not a miniature, a replica of Vidhana Saudha administrative offices in Belgaum. I think they call it the winter capital because winter in Bangalore can be harsh. Used to be harsh. Swamiji stayed with a Bengali family for a few days and then shifted to the house of a Maharashtrian gentleman, Bhate, G.S. Bhate. Bhate has written his reminiscences of Swamiji. And very recently in the sense, 15-20 years ago, the house of Mr. Bhate was located by Ramakrishna Order, who purchased that house with a big compound, and in the compound they have a temple for Sri Ramakrishna. They commemorated the visit of Swami Vivekananda there and his staying in that particular house. So this is Belgaum. From Belgaum, Swamiji came to Namma Bengaluru. Where did he stay in Bengaluru? For a long time this was not known. And surprisingly, I told you already, YIC brings a lot of surprises. There was one student in the YIC who told me, "Sir, I live by the side of Kempegowda Road." How many of you know Bangalore? You know Kempegowda Road, the business center? From the bus stand, right up to State Bank of Mysore and beyond, one of the side streets. And Swami Vivekananda stayed in a guest house, 2 houses adjacent to my house. YIC. Oh, pray, what kind of people are attracted? It was a guest house where lots of rooms are available. Swamiji was given a room. Somebody told him that in Belgaum, so he came and stayed there. Outside his room, there was a stone bench. Every evening he used to sit on the stone bench, talk to people. Now the family has donated that stone bench to the Ramakrishna Mutt in Bull Temple Road. Now they have a statue of Swamiji sitting over that with a canopy, and it has become a wonderful sight. Lighting is, you have seen that?
Yes.
Lighting is beautiful. And how many people go and sit there and meditate? That was the place. And Swamiji started giving lectures there. Casual talks. Very gradually his name spread, and one of the people who came to hear about him was Diwan Sir K. Sheshadri Iyer, who was the Prime Minister of the Mysore state. He had come to Bangalore for some work. He met Swamiji, was highly impressed with him, and told him, "Swamiji, you must meet our Maharaja. You must meet our Maharaja, come with me to Mysore." Swamiji, I told you, was a freelancer. He had no fixed agenda. I said, "Okay, fine, I'll come." So one day in a horse carriage, Sheshadri Iyer and Swamiji travelled all the way to Mysore. Sheshadri Iyer wanted Swamiji to stay in Mysore in his house. He refused. He said, "I prefer to stay in a temple." I don't know how many of you have visited Mysore, have seen Mysore. Has any one of you visited Mysore? You have seen Mysore? Great. Anybody else? Good. I was born and brought up in Mysore. For 21 years I lived there. Mysore is in my blood. And I still love that city. What memories I have. Now let me see. Have you seen Jagan Mohan Palace? Where there is a wonderful exhibition of things from the time of Tippu Sultan. You have not heard of that.
When we were small.
Jagan Mohan Palace? All right. You stand in front of Jagan Mohan Palace. The road divides into two. You take the right fork. You start walking straight. It leads to a dead end. And right in front of is Marimallappa's school and college. All right? The same thing happens to the left fork also. But on the right fork, if you travel 3 or 4 buildings, today you find a 3-floored structure, Central Excise Department. In my boyhood, I had seen in that spot a Ganesha temple. And by the side of the Ganesha temple, there was a small house meant for the Pujari. Swamiji stayed there. That was located about 10 years ago, and the Central Excise Department, New Delhi, very graciously donated that building to Ramakrishna Math. Now Ramakrishna Math has plans of opening up that building as a memorial to Swami Vivekananda, ground floor offices, middle floor library, top floor a shrine for meditation. Swamiji stayed there. Where did he talk to the citizens of Mysore? If you come up to Marimallappa's school and turn left, there is another school, Sadvidya Pathashala. That school exists even today. You go there, they will show you the room where Swamiji used to come every evening to talk to the citizens of Mysore. That room for them is like a shrine. They are very proud that when Swamiji was in Mysore, he used to give talks to our people in that particular spot. So one day, Sheshadri Iyer decided to take Swamiji to the Mysore Palace. You must have seen the Mysore Palace. It's a glorious sight, isn't it? All over the world, you can travel as much as you want. I have not seen any place so glorious as that. If you want to know more about Mysore, please read a book, The Glory of the Wadayars of Mysore by Vikram Sampath. He was a Mysorean. Fairly expensive book, 600 rupees. But it gives you the history of the state of Mysore. At the time when Swamiji came, the current palace did not exist. The same structure, but it was made of wood. A few years after Swamiji left Mysore, there was a celebration of a marriage announced, Narasimha Raja Wadayar's marriage. Unfortunately, before the marriage, that building caught fire and was destroyed. Therefore, the Jagan Mohan Palace was constructed to perform the marriage of Narasimha Raja Wadayar. After the new palace was built, stone palace, with stone blocks from Chamundi Hills, a very peculiar kind of red granite called Chamundite. I was a civil engineer, student in Mysore. We used to be taken to Chamundi Hills to inspect those things, bring samples and analyze them under microscope. It is a peculiar kind of granite not to be found in any other place anywhere in the world. That is why it got the name Chamundite. The current palace is built of Chamundite. That is why it is reddish in color. So when Swamiji came, it was to the old palace. If you have seen even the current palace, the structure is the same. Plan, elevation, everything is the same. Left extreme, there is a staircase. You climb the steps, you come to a big long hall, Darbar Hall. Turn right and start walking. Halfway through the hall, to the left, you find the famous golden throne. And Mysoreans claim that this throne was once used by Yudhishthira in Hastinapura. The eldest of the Pandavas, it was used for his coronation. Later they said it was used by Vikramaditya, a very famous personality from Indian history. And we don't know how it came to Mysore. It must have come to Mysore probably through Maharashtra. The original Wadayar, Raj Wadayar, was actually from Maharashtra. He came and settled down in Mysore. That was the throne of the Maharaja. Swami Ji came there with Sheshadri Iyer, climbed up the steps, turned right along the corridor, came rather close to the throne of the Maharaja, but he was still away from it when Maharaja got down, came towards Swamiji, prostrated before him. Sashtanga Namaskar. Sensational news that the Maharaja had a visitor who looked like a Muslim fakir. Why Muslim fakir? Because our sannyasis don't dress like that. Don't dress like this. Our sannyasis have no upper garment except a cloth and a dhoti. But look at him. He's wearing a different kind of dress. So he must be a Muslim fakir. One more thing, he is wearing a turban. That news splashed like wildfire in Mysore. One gentleman who was in the hall, a Darbari, went home afterwards, told his family, today a sannyasi came from the north. We thought he is a Muslim fakir. He was not a Muslim fakir. He was a Hindu sannyasi, and our Maharaja saw something extraordinary in him, got down from the throne, prostrated, Sashtanga Namaskara, touching 8 parts of his body to the ground. That gentleman happened to be the great grandfather of my wife.
Oh.
So when I got married to my wife, her grandmother told me this story. You are a devotee of Vivekananda. Remember, my grandfather had seen this Swami Vivekananda. And that is what happened that day. And this is the person who was then the Maharaja, Chamaraja Wadayar. The two of them struck a friendship lifelong. Great admirers of each other. They used to have long discussions in the palace. And it was this Maharaja also who told Swamiji, Swamiji, are you aware that very shortly there is going to be a Parliament of Religions in Chicago? Why don't you go? Swamiji said, I am not sure. It costs a lot of money. Oh, don't bother. I am there. I will supply you all the necessary materials. He had already got assurances from 3 or 4 people about going to United States. The Mysore Maharaja also pitched in. One day, Swamiji told Mysore Maharaja, Maharaja, be careful about the courtiers around you. Don't trust them. The Maharaja said, yes, I know. I am on my guard. But it was no use. After Swamiji's Mahasamadhi, one day, some of the courtiers stabbed him to death. He died. The state of Mysore went into the hands of the East India Company. No, British government. They put a resident there, but Rani Lakshamani, who was the widow of Chamaraj Wadayar, was a very tough lady. She was as tough as Jhansi ki Rani Lakshmi Bai. She protested, went right up to the Privy Council in London, fought for it, and got permission to make her adopted son the next king. And that was Krishna Raja Wadayar, in whose period Mysore blossomed out. If you read the book by Vikram Sampar, you will get all the information. How Mysore city became the center of dance, drama and music. Not only for Hindu, Carnatic classical music, Hindustani classical music also. When Krishna Raja Wadayar passed away, the whole state mourned him. His successor was Krishnaraja Wadayar IV, who continued the tradition. He also passed away when I was a boy in Mysore. And it was only after that Jayachamarajendra Wadayar took over, the father of the person who recently passed away, Shrikantadatta Wadayar. Now the Wadayar dynasty has come to a close. There are no more heirs. The Mysore Wadayar dynasty is over, and probably Vikram Sampath can complete his book now. The grand days of the Wadayars of Mysore. Swamiji stayed there for some time and asked the Maharaja, Maharaja, I want to go to Kerala. Can you help me? How do I go to Kerala? God's own country. Why is Kerala called God's own country? You know, there is one temple in Thiruvananthapuram on the road to that Kovalam beach, to Parashurama.
Yes,
Parashurama's creation is Kerala. And who was Parashurama? Avatara Vishnu, God's own country. And where did Parashurama finally settle down and meditate? Mahendra Parvata, which is where you have the ISRO center for refining of fuels and all those things. Because whenever I used to go to Trivandrum, my friends there in Trivandrum used to remind me, Professor, don't forget you have come to God's own country, Parashurama's country. We are Parashurama's children. And even today I am told the royal members of the royal family don't travel in front of Parashurama temple. What did Parashurama do? Went around the country 21 times, finishing off all the Kshatriyas. Very interesting. Kerala has had a very fascinating history. All the Varmas and other people. Swamiji spent some time in Trivandrum. I'll tell you about that. If not today, at least tomorrow. Maharaja sent one servant, Muslim servant, along with Swamiji to bring him to Kerala. Swamiji visited several places in Kerala, but I will narrate to you only two incidents. He came to Kochi, Ernakulam, travelled around there, and from there he came to the seashore, Arabian Sea, Kodangallur. Have you heard of Kodangallur? The Britishers used to call it Cranganore. And there, Swamiji had a fantastic experience. What that experience was? Next episode. You want me to continue this session?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Want to listen more and more?
Yes.
You are crazy. You can read for yourself. Now you know the reason why, even as children, we approach our grandmother to tell a story.
Yes.
Grandfather's story and grandmother's story are the best experience of any human being in childhood. Swamiji heard a lot of these stories when he was a child from his grandmother, great-grandmother who was alive. Later he told these stories to Nivedita. Nivedita wrote a book on these stories called Cradle Tales of Hinduism. Look at the title. What does it mean? These are the stories told by mothers and grandmothers in India when the children are still in the cradle. Beautiful book, Cradle Tales of Hinduism. So we'll leave Swamiji there in Kodangallur and pick him up tomorrow evening.
And what was the name of that person who was 130 years old?
Kalyan Dev Maharaj. It seems in 1898, he was a young man, young lad. He went to Belgaum to meet Swamiji. Swamiji met him, talked to him for some time. Then the young lad asked Swamiji, what should be our aim in life? Swamiji did not tell him realization of God and all those things. He was too young for that. He simply gave him a mantra. Sri Ramakrishna's mantra, I told you already about it. Shiva Jnaner Jiver Seva. do service of people by seeing the divine in them. Kalyan Dev Maharaj told me that one mantra has helped me throughout my life. You know how many schools for girls, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe girls, he started in the Uttar Pradesh? More than 200. One man roaming from village to village established more than 200 schools. And everybody there is very proud of Kalyan Dev Maharaj. I have an album of our yoga conference in Haridwar, and in the valedictory function, he was the chief guest. I was sitting next to him. His disciple whispered in my ear, Swamiji ko 10 minutes se zyada bolne mat dena. Don't allow Swamiji to speak more than 10 minutes. I said, theek hai. He went on speaking for 15-20 minutes. Then I told him, Maharaj, kya hai? Your assistant says don't speak anymore. Chodo, hum bolna chahte hain. I want to speak. And 45 minutes he spoke. Hamare Swami Vivekananda ji ne kaha tha. What a life of austerity, what a wonderful life. Even today people of that area remember him for his great work. They are the great stuff of which this country is made and this country is in need of. Not all these political characters, corrupt characters. These are the nation builders. I thought I will let you know about it because you people must be aware that we had people like Kalyan Dev Maharaj in our country. Okay? We will meet tomorrow. Close with a prayer. Harihi Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om Tat Sat.
Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.